Well, welcome back everybody to the Formula Fun podcast for our recap of the Belgian and the Italian Grand Prix and all the news from the summer break. I'm joined as always by Rage himself. How are you doing this week, my bud?
Absolutely fabulous.
Good. As enthusiastic as ever about the return of Formula One, hey?
As always.
As always. Well, just a quick apology for missing the podcast for Spa. We just never got around to doing it. So we'll do probably a little quick recap of Belgium, of Spa. Then we'll get on to Monza this weekend just gone. And then we'll go over all the news because there is much from the summer break and from between the last 2 weeks. Been quite a lot going on, hasn't there?
Lots of stuff may have happened.
Yep. Okay. Shall we get into a quick recap of Spa then?
Yes.
So, Lewis Hamilton got a shock pole from Sebastian Vettel. And I guess we'll just go straight into the race, shall we? And just go over the main talking points. Massive accident at Turn 1. Very reminiscent of 2012.
Massive crash.
It was. It was rather spectacular. And it was probably the person you'd least think would cause an accident like that, Nico Hülkenberg, who had a massive lock-up, piled into Fernando Alonso, who then went straight over the top of Charles Leclerc's halo. I guess that's a talking point, first one. Halo, do you think it really did make a difference, as everyone was saying, in that accident, or is it just because it was raised from the car that it clipped it?
Yeah. It could have done. I think it's one of those questions like, oh, the halo, it saved his life. I guess it may have done. We don't really know because he didn't die. Did he die?
No, he didn't. I don't think people were asking whether he died.
Oh, okay. Did he die?
He didn't, as far as I'm aware. If it was, that was very well covered up. Because
Did he die though? It's a bit silly, isn't it? I guess it might have touched his helmet if the halo wasn't there. Might not have done. The thing is, you wouldn't have known anyway, so it's a stupid argument because we've got the halo anyway. Yeah, it's great that we're using them. And safety, isn't it? But did he die?
Well, no, I don't think we'd be asking whether the halo worked if he died.
Okay.
It's difficult to say, isn't it, as you say?
Yeah.
It's it was a massive impact on the halo, and you could see that from pictures afterwards that it was pretty cracked. So at least it does stand up to the hits that it says it can. Whether it would have hit his helmet, I'm with you. We just don't know. But at least it was there, and it's the same first corner accident that it was brought in as a reaction to in Formula One world, anyway. So yeah, I guess it's good that it was on there just in case that was, because that is the exact kind of accident it's trying to prevent. So it did its job. It stood up to the hit. We'll never know if it saved Charles Leclerc from serious damage. We don't know, but it was certainly a good way to open a Grand Prix. A massive fucking accident. It immediately just makes you go, yeah, here we go. Formula One's back. Hülkenberg, do you think he was at blame, or do you think that's something with the car that's been covered up by Renault?
Yeah, of course he was to blame. I think it wasn't his fault. He was an idiot and he didn't realise the overspeed. I don't think it was a cover-up.
Okay. I'm not sure. There's just the distance of which he locks up and the severity just didn't look like he could get under control.
No.
And you can see...
a bit random.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were saying that it was Alonso's fault as well, because you can see there's a Williams next to him, of either Sorokin or Stroll, that broke at exactly the same point and stayed level with Hülkenberg the whole time. So he didn't brake too late. I just don't think he anticipated how slow Alonso was going to go into that corner. Yeah. I don't think that makes it Alonso's fault, but I think that might have been the cause of it.
Yeah, I think it was a weird incident. On the plus thing, though, on the plus side, sorry, Hülkenberg was very very good of how he took it, though. He was just like, yeah, I'll take the points. I'll take the penalty. It's fine. My bad.
Yeah, I think that is the only way you can, really, isn't it? You can't blame someone else when you've locked up and gone into the back of them, even if you think it is their fault. And yeah, you're right. He did get a 10 place grid penalty, so justice
Took it
was
on the
served.
chin, didn't he?
Indeed. So moving on to a little bit further up, Erosion Radion. That's Radion, actually.
Actually, that's Radion.
Sorry, I just love that video. Yeah, so Sebastian Vettel had a very good chance to get past Hamilton into turn 1, and I think he had 2017 in mind, where he just held back a bit, and he looked like he wanted to go on the outside, didn't, and then towed him all the way up Erosion Radion and overtook him on the straight. Is it the Kemmel Straight?
Yeah.
Why not? Why not? What are you going to do if it's wrong, people? Probably tell me in the comments that it's wrong. Anyway. Yeah, and got it to perfection. Obviously, a huge overspeed possible with the longest straight in Formula 1, or the second longest, actually, now at Baku's about.
Yeah.
And managed to get his way past. And we also had 2 Force Indias joining the battle before they realised who they were fighting, and there was no point fighting them. It was it's quite a big fight, but that got it done. Then, of course, safety car came out, which bunched them all back up, and Hamilton wasn't able to take the same kind of advantage. He did try and get him into the final corner, didn't he? On the restart, Hamilton, but couldn't quite manage, and that just allowed Vettel to streak away. And this Ferrari pace that we've been seeing for months now, finally getting the win it deserved after Sebastian Vettel mucks a bunch of them up. And the championship gap back down to 17 points. I think we have Verstappen on the podium. Ricciardo, do you have an engine failure again? I can't remember.
He retired, yeah.
Yeah. And the 2 Force India's getting some really good points.
Does he care though?
What, Ricciardo?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a racing driver, so of course he does. But maybe not as much as he did. He's still going to mind, isn't he? It's still going to be frustrating when you spend your entire weekend going for a race, and then just for your engine to give up once again.
Yeah, maybe.
But
He's already sleeping in Renault linen. He's got Renault pajamas. He's already got some Renault slippers on.
I guess. He's still got a race though, hasn't he?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. This is one of those weird things that you take upon yourself to piss me off about. Like, of course he's trying. Maybe not as much as he wants, but he's not just... You can't just turn up and not give a shit in a Formula 1 car. You just don't say anything. Okay. So that cut the championship lead down to 17 points. I don't think there's too many other talking points. Say good performance from Force India.
It was a bit shit of a race, wasn't it? It was a bit poo.
I thought it was a good race.
Bit poo. I fell asleep halfway through.
I mean, you barely watch qualifying anymore, so that doesn't surprise me. Old man rage over there.
So yeah, that was Spa. Some stuff happened. A red one won, and someone broke down. Pink guys did all right. There was a big crash. Someone didn't die.
I mean, as accurate as ever. Not gonna lie.
We dropped the ball on this one, guys. Okay, we forgot and we missed. Well, we didn't forget. We just the new game released, so we didn't have much time to do the podcast.
I keep saying they should have done it during the summer break.
We should have done something. Yeah, they should have done. They should have released it a month before. But you know, Cody's being Cody's. Didn't really think, did they?
Well, they just don't care, do they?
So that was the quick roundup. Some stuff happened.
There was a point for Marcus Ericsson. That's an historic event in itself.
Ooh, yeah.
And a retirement, Fernando Alonso. Obviously.
Yeah, well done.
I was just reading through the order there and completely forgot that he was in an absolutely massive accident.
Yeah.
Turn 1. So same with Leclerc.
Leclerc was out, and so was Hulky Hulken.
Oh, and right, Ricardo was the rear wing, wasn't it? That was why. And they managed to get it back on and back out in like 2 laps.
Oh, the wing, yeah. And then they retired it on like lap 30.
Yeah. I haven't got exact figures, but
They retired him on lap 30, 39, I think.
I was a bit.
I remember looking at it.
That. Okay.
I was looking at it and I thought, why?
Oh, you remember that, do you?
I remember, well, yes, Dan Ricciardo. Of course, I remember what happened with him.
I remember the exact lap that he retired 2 weeks ago.
Well, I remember looking at it and going, why are they retiring him now? Well, I guess he'd have to do another 10 laps.
Why would you bother about caring about him? Because he doesn't give a shit, apparently, at the moment.
Oh, wow. Whoa.
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 That's what you said. That's what you said. Right.
Whoa.
On to the main event of this podcast then. The
Okay.
Italian Grand Prix of the weekend gone by.
Should we start with practice?
We shall, because something pretty massive happened in practice 1.
It did.
Marcus
Did some
Ericsson.
cars go round, and some went fast, and some not as fast as before, and some not at all, and some in cartwheels.
And some of them head over heels. They were so
Head
happy to be in
Head over heels in love! Like that.
I'd like to apologise to all headphone users of the listeners. Sorry. Yeah, it was a massive accident.
Why did he go? Why did he go head over heels? Indulge.
Because he had an accident.
Yeah.
I hope you want no further clarification.
His DRS was broken.
Oh, that was it. It got stuck open, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And the same happened with Leclerc's car, and they pulled him in. Sorted it out.
Yeah. I thought that was just for safety. Just check it.
No, they had a little tinker, sent him out. He tested the DRS at just after the chicane before the long straight before Parabolica, and he said, "Oh, it's stuck open again." They told him to come straight in, slowly.
Okay.
And then they must have found the error or found the problem.
A little bit late for Marcus Ericsson, though.
Darren had been sticking his chewing gum in places it shouldn't be sticking.
Good old Darren.
Yeah. Well, we can't use Jeff. We use it every time.
He does. Sorry, you've sent me some hugely pornographic pictures of the F1 2004. They're 3D renders, though, aren't they?
They're renders, but they've got Michael Schumacher in, and they're very nice. So I thought, oh, Jamie's got a new wallpaper.
It does look good. No, The Witcher stays my wallpaper.
You got The Witcher as your wallpaper. What one? The one of him in the bath?
No.
Oh.
Just like the stock one of him in Siri.
Oh.
No, not in. That's too difficult to explain to anyone coming around. That's gonna create more questions than you need.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, no. So yeah, thankfully Ericsson was okay.
He was fine.
That was really, really practice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Qualifying.
Quali.
8 points, man. Stoffel Van Dorn, bottom of the pile.
8.
Eight. Fuck. Jake Dennis. 8.
Oh, you pulled out a meme. Did you do a meme?
No, because it's not really we haven't created a meme. It's not.
I think we have.
It's not really spread. It's only us that say it. I don't think that makes it a meme.
Jake fucking Dennis.
I don't know. I'll Google it.
Did we do a meme?
Jake fucking Dennis. Oh, that. Okay, no, don't.
What?
Don't search that. I don't know what I thought would come up. Oh dear.
Oh my god.
Don't do that, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my god.
Do not.
Soon as you read it out, I was just like,
Do not Google that, anybody.
Oh, that's good.
Oh.
That made my day.
Thank God I wasn't on pictures or something. just the titles of what the search contents was bad enough.
Dennis.
Oh no, Dennis.
Dennis.
What are you doing?
What are you doing to me, Dennis?
Right, Ericsson 19th, Hartley 18th, Leclerc 17th, Perez 16th. Couple of surprises there,
Surprising.
Leclerc and Perez.
Yeah, well, yeah, not surprising for the bottom three, but yes, Leclerc and Perez, bit confusing. Marcus Ericsson's car was ruined, so there's no way he was going to put in a good time.
I mean, he
Hartley
wasn't that far off, to be fair.
Yeah, he was.
The times here were ridiculous. I mean, in Q1, the difference between 8th and 20th was 3 tenths. I haven't seen it that close in quite a while. I think 10th down to 7th were all within like 800ths of a second. So it's incredibly close. So yeah, I mean, Perez, obviously this is a track Force India, should be strong, as was shown by Ocon's qualifying position, so a bit disappointing for Perez. I'm sure there was a reason why. Can't remember.
Did Danny and Nico decide not to run in Q2?
Yeah,
I know they had penalty.
Exactly, both had penalties. Ricardo had an engine penalty, and obviously Hulkenberg had his penalty from his turn 1 accident in Spa.
So they just put in a time and then decided not to run anymore? Because their times are way up the board, aren't they?
Yeah, you get some quali practice in Q3, and then there's no point in Q1, and then there's no point using any tyres or engine modes, is there really?
No. Fair.
Not going to get much further up. And obviously if they then get into Q3, they have to start on those tyres way back in the grid, so I guess there's some point and some sponsor obligations maybe to run in Q1, and then Q2 there's no point, just in case they somehow get through, even if they do really shit laps.
Shit laps.
Shit laps. Fernando Alonso 13th, not a great lap, not a great weekend for McLaren. Monza was never going to be their strong point, really, was it? Sorokin 12th in a much improved Williams showing in this qualifying. The one thing they can do really well, which is drive in a straight line, is very useful at Monza. Who'd have thought? Magnussen 11th in the Haas. A little bit disappointing for him, but he's had a great season, so you can't really complain. Then into Q3, Lance Stroll could only manage P10 despite being P8 in Q2. Gasly P9. Again, great performance for Toro Rosso, especially with that Honda engine on a power limited track. Ocon is 8th, Sainz 7th, Grosjean 6th, the best of the rest. Great, some good times from Grosjean, good times. Verstappen 5th, Red Bull unsurprisingly not on the pace of the front two here. Bottas 4th, Hamilton only 3rd, Vettel 2nd. And that man, it's his first pole since Monaco last year, Kimi Räikkönen. I know you're a Lewis fan, but were you happy with the Kimi pole?
Yeah, I was pretty happy.
Okay.
I was, well done. Well done.
Finally, Kimi.
Well done.
The man who should have been on pole. There's someone that's done a really cool YouTube video, which like some shitty drawing animations of Kimi Räikkönen in a typical race. It's very funny. I shall have to show you that at some point.
He's kind of not as good as he used to be.
I know.
I don't know. I just feel like Kimi of old wouldn't have made the same mistakes. But yeah, good. I guess. Well done.
Yeah, this video has him going around Sector 1, purple Kimi. Sector 2, purple Kimi. Sector 3, just like drives in a wiggly line and mucks it up, and then is like 4th. Just perfectly shows Kimi's. But he did it this time at Monza, at the home of Ferrari, and he will become even more of a legend with those fans, I'm sure. Right, on to the race itself then. And a great start from Kimi. Lewis Hamilton made up good ground early on, and then into turn 3 and 4, the infamous incident between them. As Hamilton and Vettel went in side by side, Hamilton was going around the outside of turn 3, and they made contact, and Vettel went round. So let's get straight to it then. Racing incident, 60-40 in either direction, or someone's fault massively? What do we think?
The incident with Vettel and Hamilton.
That's the one.
Yeah. didn't even think it was a racing incident. I think Vettel was just being an idiot.
So you think it was Vettel's fault then?
But yeah, I don't even think it was a racing incident. A racing incident implies that, almost both people were at fault. If anything, I think Vettel should probably get his knuckles rattled. Because he shouldn't have put himself in that position. He could have seen in the braking zone that Lewis was on the outside of him, even further up. I mean, when he touched him in the side of the, behind the side pod. So I'd say he went the wrong way, first of all, to defend, when Lewis wasn't even going to do that anyway. And Lewis just mopped up when Vettel dropped the ball. It's so weird. Have you watched the top view where he goes and defends the inside for no reason, and then realizes, oh, actually, I've got to get round this, and there's an apex I've got to kind of lean up to. He was never getting round that corner without hitting him. So yeah, Vettel's fault 100%. And to be fair, Vettel probably should have got some kind of repercussion for it. I don't even think he should have got away with. I guess his penalty was what happened to him, but it was so stupid.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about those penalties before. How I don't think what happens as a result of the accident should really have any effect on the penalty it's being given itself. I would agree with you. I think Vettel was more at fault. I still think it is put down as a racing incident because they both entered the corner pretty much level, and it's only because Vettel understeered a bit, which he couldn't really have predicted.
Yeah. I guess.
But yeah, I think if you were to put blame, you put it on Vettel, but I still think it's pretty 50-50. But, Vettel should have seen Hamilton. It was a great move from Hamilton, first and foremost.
Yeah.
I think it was hit the aggressiveness of the move that surprised Vettel into the mistake. It was very bold from Hamilton and perfectly judged, and then Vettel just understeered into him. It was quite lucky for Hamilton, really, because what would normally happen in that situation is it would send the other car round. A lot of people commenting at the time of how strange it was that Vettel's car was the one that came off worse, because a car understeering into another one and hitting the rear would normally spin the other car round.
Yeah.
So Hamilton very lucky, really.
I think he might have just been the way he hit him. He was kind of leaning into the corner as he hit him, so he had all four wheels almost against the force of the impact. As opposed to if he hit him going the other way, it might have been slightly different. I don't know. It all depends.
Physics are strange.
The physics are strange with this one.
Yeah, it was drama anyway, wasn't it? Whose ever fault you say it was, or however it went down, it was fascinating to see. Well, I've been calling for those two to go wheel to wheel a lot more. In the last two races, we've seen quite a bit more of it. So. Do
you think Vettel is crumbling under the pressure?
Interesting you say that. It was my next point. I think so. I don't think it's out of question, because unlike last year, he had probably the slower car and he was the underdog, so that contributed to it, and there was no real chance for comeback. I think alternately this year, I think he's got, because they've got the quickest car, he could very easily rack up a couple of wins in a row and he's straight back in it. But yes, you've got to say, you look at Germany and you look here, 2 races where he should have won comfortably. Yeah, I think he is. I think it is incredibly intense between the pair of them, and Vettel is starting to make those little mistakes, and I think, a wiser man would have backed out of that move when they saw Hamilton coming around the outside.
Do you think that a lot of this, the pressure is almost off Hamilton because what he faced in the Hamilton/Rosberg era? Because the pressure's on both these drivers. The pressure is the championship has swung both ways as we've gone. But weirdly, the person who you think would be very much in control of everything on track isn't necessarily the person that is in control, because Lewis is normally, blows from left to right with the wind. His emotions take control and he makes stupid mistakes when stuff like that happens. But it's weird to see someone like Mr. Consistent, Sebastian Vettel, to make two massive mistakes. Why didn't he just let Lewis have it? He knew DRS was going to come. He got 40, 50 laps of this, and he decided to take him on. I think it was absolutely nuts, and I think he should have been reprimanded at least at Ferrari for that, letting losing the win through stupidity and a lack of solid strategy with Kimi at a home race where you've just got the double pole is unforgivable.
Yeah, I don't know that it's one of those things that, with hindsight, it's much easier to say, but I think in the heat of the moment, I don't think he's done anything dramatically wrong. I agree that Ferrari, that brings up a point I remembered about 2 minutes ago. I wanted to bring up, obviously, the qualifying debacle of Kimi going first and maybe being the reason he got the pole, and also Vettel was livid after.
We talk about it after.
Yeah, and in the press conference, he's just storming about and he was not happy whatsoever.
So childish.
It's apparently because it was his turn to follow. Because Ferrari do it this way of alternating, and I think at Spa it was the other way around, and it was supposed to be the other way around this time. And I've heard that the second run, it was actually Vettel's engineers that mucked up, because he was supposed to go first. But in that case, why don't you switch him around on track? So it's all very weird, and I think that was Ferrari's error for not getting him on the pole in the first place. And then, the pressure got to him and he made a mistake with Hamilton. But I don't think he's really 100% to blame. I don't think it's a stupid mistake, as you say. I just think it's one of those racing incidents that the instinct takes over and he made a bad decision. But
if you look about the whole what happened in the round, I know we're jumping ahead, but obviously such a, in my opinion, a rash decision from Vettel to try and take on Lewis like that, and or at least try and defend so harshly when you've got plenty more laps in the boot. You could have played second fiddle with Raikkonen, you could have backed Lewis into anyone. It's the beginning of the race. You lose a place at the beginning of the race. It's Monza, for Christ's sake. He should have known that he's got every chance in the world to overtake him on a straight with a faster car, arguably the faster car. And then they missed a trick with the strategy. I thought, watching the race, when, I know we're skipping ahead, but when Lewis stayed out for another 3-4, well, it was, for me, I was peasant vision, it was like 3-4 laps. It could have been more. I don't know how many it was. Was it 8? Maybe it was a little less. I'm not sure. I thought that was such a bad decision. I was like, why are they not getting him in? You're throwing it away. They're going to be too far. But it wasn't. It was the perfect strategy. And for once, I know we complained about Ferrari, pulling the trigger, or playing safe, or playing their own race. I think they got duped by Mercedes. Well, it was.
Yeah, I mean, if we go on to that, the Raikkonen and Hamilton battle. Firstly, it was great to watch.
Oh yeah.
I think Hamilton did have more pace, but he was still struggling a little bit to get past. But the whole reason that he won that race was Valtteri Bottas. It's the only reason. I think.
Oh yeah.
I think Raikkonen would have walked it in the second half of the race, just because with that strategy. But then, if they didn't have Bottas, because that's obviously what they were planning, I think Hamilton would have pitted the lap after and been straight back on his tail again. So I don't think that 6-7 second gap would have developed from him pitting later. But it was completely Valtteri Bottas, because Raikkonen had no choice but to go out and hit it hard to try and get past Bottas, and obviously he couldn't. And that's what destroyed his tyres and allowed Hamilton to close back up. I think by the time Bottas pitted, Hamilton was back within a second of him from a 6-second gap. And then he's got much fresher tyres, and Raikkonen's already destroyed his. So it was beautifully played, and again, if it's the kind of thing Raikkonen has done for Vettel all season. So it was well played by Mercedes, and they had that joker in the back of the hand of having the second driver there to help out, which obviously Ferrari didn't. 2 against 1, it's always so difficult for the one, because they can always do the opposite with the opposite driver. So it was, yeah, I think Mercedes won that race more than Hamilton. Everyone's saying it's one of Hamilton's greatest drives. I think, if Vettel hadn't have done what he did, he would have won the race.
Mm.
And I think if they hadn't have used Valtteri Bottas, then Kimi Räikkönen potentially would have won it. But it was still a good drive, to be fair. And the move on Vettel, I think, was one of his best in a long time. Because I still think he forced that error of Vettel. It wasn't just Vettel being hot-headed. It was he was forced into it by Hamilton, by the way he made the move. But yep, it was still heartbreaking to see Hamilton get past Raikkonen. Everybody was just hoping and hoping and hoping he could hold on. But I think that was the proof, if we ever needed it, that he's lost that little bit of extra desire, hasn't he? Because he would have played it, if he'd have played it tactically like he's done before and looks after the tyres rather than trying to get past Bottas. Who's to say he wouldn't have won it? But, hey, what else have we got from the race then? Verstappen was the second thing, wasn't he? So his duel with Bottas. So early on, he cut across the chicane, and he was told over the radio that Charlie had said he played his Joker now. Which I don't really think is how the rules work. You don't get a Joker. Like, if it's either right or it's wrong, and if it's wrong, you get a penalty. It's not, oh, we'll let him off the scamp.
The cheeky scamp. We'll let him off that one.
It's fine, We'll get you next time. That's not how rules work, and that, I think, is the problem with the rule. No wonder all these drivers are getting annoyed with the penalty system, if that's the kind of logic that's being used. Like, how many jokers do they get? And then, obviously the second time later on in the race that Bottas tried to get past Verstappen was down into turn 1, and there's no real two ways about it. Verstappen, so dangerous. He just closed the door. It's back to the outside after moving on the inside. And there's a lot of people saying it's 50-50 and blah, blah, blah. That was a vicious move. That was just a kid throwing his pram out, his toys out of the pram. He's got me, he's giving me down on the outside, I'm just going to shut the door. And Bottas literally had nowhere to go. I think it was not the greatest moment from Max Verstappen. And a little disappointed with his comments as well of how
he's just killing racing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you think of it, but I thought it was very dangerous, and I think he it was just that classic Schumacher move of, right, I can see he's about to pass me, let's just turn into him.
No, I agree with you.
Almost like that instinct.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, so didn't cover himself with glory, and it meant some more precious points were handed back to the charging Ferrari of Vettel, who, I don't know how many times you can say great comeback from him. Yeah, great comeback through the field, but he shouldn't have had to. So how great does that really make it? But he was only 16 seconds off the lead at the end, and it meant Bottas regained the podium from Verstappen because of the 10-second penalty he got. It's 10 or 5? It was 5, wasn't it? Actually, which I think was a bit low. Both Force Indias had another very strong race, 6th and 7th. Carlos Sainz, a fairly good race in the Renault in 8th. And points for Williams. I think we've missed something here.
Why?
Grosjean was disqualified.
Yeah, he was disqualified. We was going to get to that afterwards.
Yeah. No, I know. I knew
he was disqualified.
I knew it was pending because Renault finally made this complaint that they've been talking about for ages.
Yeah, it was because of the plane on the floor. Something to do with the size of the floor, or something to do with the body part underneath the car. And they were told on the last race in Spa that they had to change it, and they didn't. And Renault obviously kept a keen eye, and they pulled the FIA up on it, and FIA penalised them, disqualified the car. But why just Roman's car and not the Magnussen's?
Not Magnussen. Well, apparently they only appealed Grosjean's. But it did look like at the end of the race both Hasses were being investigated, were being looked at, because neither of them were in the garage.
I know Romance was definitely... he's obviously DQ'd for it.
Yeah, but obviously nothing. Okay. Lodged protest. Small detail on the leading edge of the floor.
Yeah.
Not in compliance with the regulations, subsequently disqualified. Yeah, I agree with you. How can it not be on on Magnussen's car? Someone quickly swiftly kick it off in part Ferme. Whatever this part is. So that means that not only did Williams get their first points, which they had anyway, it means they got 2 cars in the points. Both Stroll and Sorokin score. Well, it's small victories, but still well done to them. They did have a great race. They had much improved pace just because of the straights, really. But still, they had to race there, and 9th and 10th is pretty damn good for them. So I think they can be fairly happy with that. As happy as they can be with being bottom of the championship by a fucking mile. Leclerc was 11th. Van Dorn, Stoffel 8-point Van Dorn was 12th. Hulkenberg 13th, had a pretty dismal race. Gasly again, not a very good race, despite his great starting position, 14th. Ericsson 15th, Magnussen 16th. Engine blow up for Ricciardo. Alonso retired. There's some problem with the car, I think, didn't he? I think, yeah.
It was I don't know the actual reason why but it was a new engine.
It was car issues.
Some shit happened with the car. It went pop.
The car was 1 minute going round, the next not. Fear me not. Hartley also retired, and obviously Grosjean's disqualification from a very good result. He was P6. So, anything else we've missed from the race?
Don't think so. There was a bit of action with Ricciardo and Gasly. A little bit of a tap.
Oh, there was, yeah, a little bit of contact. I noticed Gasly let him through a lot easier the next time. I think Gasly just wasn't expecting it, was he?
No.
Ricciardo was even later than he normally was.
We did miss some Kevin Magnussen, Fernando Alonso qualifying banter.
Oh, of course, yeah. They both started the lap at exactly the same time, went into turn 1.
Well,
pretty much level.
The thing is, Nando was in front, and K-Mags at Parabolica decided he wanted to be in front of Nando, and then decided to try and overtake him, and Nando said no. Which, there's almost like an unwritten rule at Monza that once you're in your positions for going round to do your timed lap, that's your positions, that's your train, that's pretty much who you get in a draft, and you're drafting the guy behind you. That's where you're going to be. But obviously, K-Mags didn't get the message and decided he wanted to get in front of Fernando Alonso. And at that point, they were already gearing up to go round to literally start the lap. So they crossed the start-finish line together and went into the first corner together and ruined both their laps. One, because Fernando didn't want to back down, because he had every right not to back down. And K-Mags thought he was just going to keep his foot in. So he destroyed his qualifying. And then apparently, when they got back to the paddock, K-Mags approached Fernando Alonso and asked him pretty much what he was doing, and Fernando just laughed at him and walked off. There wasn't a conversation. Fernando just laughed at him and walked off because it wasn't like Fernando was going to improve, was he? He wasn't getting out of Q2. It was so stupid.
Yeah, the whole thing was bizarre. I think K-Mag came out afterwards and said that Alonso thinks he's a god.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Can't wait for him to retire.
Compared to you, Magnussen.
I know there was some words between Gunter and whoever the American bloke is. I can never remember his name. Brown. Yeah, there was some Gunter Zach banter afterwards.
Good old Gunter Zach banter.
I don't know what.
That's a phrase that's never been uttered before.
Some
Gunter Zach banter.
Yeah, there was some banter between them. It was just such a stupid decision from K-Mags. It really was. Yeah. But anyway, it was his fault. He fucked the quali lap for both of them.
Yeah.
And then to try and blame it on Alonso was just absolutely ludicrous. Yeah.
It was a ludicrous display last night. Okay, yeah, that was plenty of action, and yeah, I think that's one person Alonso will be happy not to race again. To be honest, announcing Kevin Magnussen to go to LMP1 next year.
Oh.
That's what we all said about Marinado. I haven't really kept up with him, but I presume he's not caused any massive accidents.
If he does, we'll be the first to know.
I don't know if he was just in for Le Mans or if he was in for the season.
I've no idea.
I'll have to check up on that sometime. I'm sure someone can do that for me. No.
Don't do it, Fox.
No, don't. It's fine. It's all fine. Okay, I think that's pretty much it from Monza. And it means the championship, Hamilton extends his lead to 30 points. Raikkonen and Bottas holding on to faint hope of competing, unless Hamilton and Vettel take themselves out in each the next 4 races. I think it's fair to say it's between those two. Alonso's finally dropped out of the top 10 for the first time. And the biggest news, Force India, after going to nil points before Spa, are now back up to 7th. After 2 races, they have overtaken Williams, Sauber and Toro Rosso.
Dear.
I mean, it's pretty good. And they've got an outside chance. I think they could definitely take McLaren. They've got an outside chance.
So bad for them. But yeah.
I do, but it's also, I heard some commentators over the weekend saying it's also a great sign for them, because if they're in a position where they can throw away that kind of income that they get from 5th or 6th, then they must have a lot of money backing them.
Yeah,
because those payments make up the majority of the budget for next year. It's sort of 70-80 million for 5th or 6th. That's a big chunk of the budget for a midfield team like Force India. So if they can throw that away, then they've got a lot of investment coming, which I'm really interested to see. They've had this update pending that they haven't had the money to do. And it's going to be a huge, massive update to the car and overhaul of it that's coming for a couple of races' time. Now they've got the money. I didn't know about this. So, yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see, because they haven't updated the car, really, since this debacle started 6-7 races ago, and they haven't actually had the money to build the upgrades they want. So they've been pooling everything together, and there's one big upgrade coming for, I think, Suzuka, they said, but I don't know when it will be on the car. But it'll be interesting to see what kind of step that does give them, because at the moment it's those 2 drivers that are dragging them above what they should be. Perez and Ocon just putting in those great performances. Right, driver of the day, I guess, just for Monza. I can't remember for Spa, really. Mine would have to be... I'd have to agree with the popular vote. Actually, I would still give it to Raikkonen, because we know he's aging and he's past it, but it was still a great weekend from him. And
who's this, Raikkonen?
Yeah. He fucked his tyres, but...
Yeah.
Still a great effort from him. You agree?
Yeah, I would agree, but it's still annoying, isn't it? I feel bad for him.
Yeah, I do. He might get one more chance, you never know. Between now and the end of the season.
Probably
won't. Probably not. Let's be honest.
That was his one chance, and he's probably lost his race drive.
Well, we'll get to that in our drivers, lots of seats available section for 2018. Not so many seats available as there was before, because lots of them have been taken because we forgot to do it a few weeks ago, but some seats are still available, so we'll discuss those and make our predictions. But that very catchy segment is coming later. Christ, I'm embarrassed by that.
It's very catchy.
It is. It's very... Stick that on a t-shirt. Size triple XL to get it all on. Just time for...
Crash of the week! You bastard!
There we go. Yeah, crash of the week from... I think Spa is easy.
Yeah! It was the beginning one.
It's the big one at the beginning.
The big one at the beginning was
they
the
all
best.
crashed.
They all crashed, and it was really, really big one.
Yep, and I would presume Monza's pretty easy as well.
It was the one at practice with Marcus Ericsson.
Where he crashed lots of times in a row.
He crashed lots of times, spat all over the place.
He was going to hurt someone while he was going on. Rolling about like that.
Rolling about like that, it was absolutely disastrous.
Youngsters nowadays, they got no respect.
No, he's absolutely. I can't believe it. How he got away with that, I don't know. 10 years ago, if he didn't have the halo,
he would have been very dead. And he's just got to think about how lucky he is.
Why have we turned into a young
Michael Caine?
Hello, I'm Michael Caine, and I've just got my braces in.
I didn't talk anything like this before.
But apparently I do now. It's a bit like Brucey, but also like Michael Caine.
They put the braces in reverse. And they can't
Enough
get them out. Brushing my teeth is a nightmare.
Stop it now.
Okay. Right, I think we should just move on to... massive fucking daddy long legs. Piss off, mate. Don't you dare. Right, so I thought we'd go through the driver lineups. I've got a little table here of the lineups for next year. So we'll go through them, and obviously any that have been confirmed since last time or are new for next year, we will go over, their decision and whether we think it's a good choice and how we think they do. And then the remaining ones we'll make some predictions. Sound good?
Yeah.
Cool. Mercedes, we've known for quite a while. Hamilton, Bottas retained for next year. I think Hamilton, it's a no-brainer, really, isn't he? To stay
Yeah,
there.
he's going to stay where he is, isn't he?
And Bottas is there as a number 2, whether he thinks he is or not, isn't he? I don't think there's any chance of a Rosberg-like recovery from him, is there? No. Ferrari, Sebastian Vettel confirmed. To be confirmed is his partner for 2019. I think there's only 2 options, which are Leclerc and Raikkonen.
I think Leclerc is going to get it.
I want it to be Leclerc, and it sounded like Raikkonen had retained it, and now it's turned back the other way, and people say that it's going to be Leclerc. Apparently that deal has been done, but we've no idea.
I've heard the deal's done.
We've heard the deal's done, but we also heard the deal was done with Raikkonen a few weeks ago. So, I mean, I have no idea. I want it to be Leclerc, and I think it'll be Leclerc, but there is still a chance it might be Raikkonen. But it's predictions, so I'm nailing in Leclerc. I presume you are as well, eh?
Yeah, nail it in.
Cool. There we go.
Good job.
No need for that sound effect. It's completely shite. Right, Red Bull. Max Verstappen confirmed, and his teammate next year will be the young Frenchman Pierre Gasly. Right choice?
Was it Gasly? What? Right choice for Gasly?
Right choice for Red Bull. As in for that seat.
What, Gasly getting the seat?
Yes, it's not that complicated.
Do you think was the right choice that Gasly got the seat?
I think so.
Or the right choice that Danny left and now Gasly's there?
Well, no, we haven't. We'll get on to Daniel Ricciardo in the Renault bit.
Oh, okay.
This is whether we think Pierre Gasly is the best choice and how we think he'll do stacked up against Max Verstappen.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I think he was the obvious choice. I think he's really proved himself the last few races.
I don't think there's any other. There were rumours it was going to be Nando for a bit.
Well, he was much in demand, apparently, which we'll get on to when we get to McLaren, but...
Sorry, Jesus.
No, I was just saying.
It's all fine, mate.
I think he's the right choice. I think even if it wasn't an emergency thing, I think he's the one naturally in line, and he's performing well enough to do so. He's starting to show that little spark that Red Bull young drivers need to have to get into Red Bull. And I think it'd be the perfect time for him to go in. How he'll do up against Max Verstappen, very interesting, I think. It's a massive test, and there's not going to be many that can win out in that battle. So, interesting but strong lineup for Red Bull. And of course, he brings experience with Honda.
I think that's what made the choice, to be honest with you.
I think it helps, yeah, definitely. But you know, they're so short of drivers at the moment that he was really the only choice anyway. But I think he is the right choice. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how he does, and good to see this young talent coming through and getting promoted and freeing up those lower seats to bring in the next wave as well. So I think that's as long as he doesn't crack under the pressure, that's a lineup that could stay around for a long time. Definitely.
Oh, you broke up slightly.
I think it's a lineup that could stay around for a long time.
Yeah.
On to Renault then. Daniel Ricciardo. Shock of the century.
It was, wasn't it?
What was going through his head?
Literally no idea.
No, I tried to rationalise it. You know, it's a long-term project. It's a manufacture. Red Bull pissed him off in terms of the engine's problem, but he's going from a Red Bull with a Renault engine to a Renault with a Renault engine. It's very strange.
The only thing I can put it down to is they've shown him something that's happening, and it goes with also the reason of why Red Bull had dumped or been forced to go with the Honda engine. Look, why else would they go with the Honda engine unless Renault turned round to them and said that this is my only rationale, pretty much. You're not going to be we're not going to be offering any good engines, at least for any of our manufacturers or any of our customers.
I mean, that's against the rules, so we know that's not happening.
They're
not allowed to offer customer engines any different. That's been written into the rules.
But they might not be offering customer engines.
Well, why have McLaren still got it then, and have got a contract till 2021?
Exactly, until 2021, when the new regs come in, when they've probably got some beast engine hiding in the wings, ready to come through.
I agree. That's their big opportunity.
Yeah, that's what's happening. That's what Dan knows about the beast engine that's coming. And the only thing you can do is jump ship.
They don't know the regulations yet.
They got beast engines in the wings. They got beast engines in the wings. Big old beasters.
A lot of people have been saying about this. Oh, he's doing a Hamilton. He spotted something. I don't think he has. I don't think anybody knows what's going to happen with 2021 because we don't even know what engines we're going to have yet. We know they're going to be hybrid V6s, but we don't know what they're changing. We don't know the specifications of them. We don't know how the engine recovery is going to work. So how can Renault possibly have a killer engine in the wings? And whatever happens in 2021, they're still going to be similar enough that they can bolt it on this year's engine and make the next couple of years and make it competitive. I just think he's got fed up with Red Bull, and it was his only option. That's the only thing I can see that's happened here.
Beast the engine waiting in the wings.
I mean, it's going to be a very interesting matchup, isn't it? Ricciardo and Hulkenberg.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Really, Hulkenberg's big. Because I would say Hulkenberg's sort of browbeaten Sainz this year. So he's won that battle as well. So Ricciardo is the real big test, and it could be really bad news for Ricciardo as well. If he struggles to beat Hulkenberg.
I don't think it'll be bad news. I think it'll be fine. We'll see. I think it'll be all right.
We'll see. We'll have this discussion in 2021 and wait for this killer engine, shall we?
Big O Kilo Enjo.
Big O Endo engine.
Big O Beast engine waiting in the wings.
They're just going to put a V10 with it, whether they like it or not.
Big O Beast O V10 engine waiting in the wing.
That's what I think they should do. No manufacturers are allowed to have the same number of cylinders.
I don't go back to what they did in the 60s and the 70s, where as long as you can have one of two choices. You can have the turbocharged, or you can have the naturally aspirated. Turbocharged can only be a V6, naturally aspirated can be like a V12. Just go fucking nuts!
Why not, mate? I mean,
Big old beastly engine waiting in the wings, mate.
I mean, they tried that in British touring cars most recently. where some were allowed turbocharged engines, but they were limited, and some were allowed normal engines, and the turbo engines just fucking ran away with it. The turbocharged Civics just won like 3 years in a row. So, but it's one idea, I guess. Right, next up, Haas. No drivers confirmed for 2018. Both seats still available. I think we've got to say that one of them at least is probably going to be retained. I think it makes sense. You always you very rarely change out both your drivers because you always want a benchmark there, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
If you were to, well, firstly, are you of the opinion they'll retain at least one?
Sorry, you broke up again.
Are you of the opinion that they'll retain at least one?
What, Haas?
Yes.
I think they. I think that. I love it how you always question.
I mean, what? Are you even paying attention?
Of course I am. Yeah, I think they'll retain both of them.
You think they'll both stay? Do you think it'll
Yeah.
be Grosjean and Magnussen?
Grosjean, they like Grosjean. I think it'll be silly to get rid of Magnussen now. I don't see what he's done wrong. Who would they take on? I know they've got a American guy waiting in the wings, but
Nope, not anymore.
and then is he the one who
He's the one that went fucking batshit crazy.
and did some stupid shit?
Yeah, which apparently he's been disproved according to Fox, according to a podcast or something, which I haven't listened to yet, so I don't know if that's true or false. But
What's been disproved?
or like his opinion that he talked about in a podcast from that weekend shows
Yeah.
a different side to it, but I don't know. I haven't watched it or listened to it yet.
Oh, fair.
But no, Ferrucci is not an option anymore. Giovinazzi would be my guess. I think Giovinazzi, Ferrari don't have a place for him just yet because of Leclerc, and they've been testing him a lot. I've got a feeling it will be K-Mag and Giovinazzi, is my guess. But I think it is quite likely, as you say, that both will stay. But I'm going to nail them in there, Giovinazzi and Magnussen, for next year.
Well, I'm going to go for both Magnussen and Grosjean. I can't see them getting rid of Grosjean.
I just don't think he's improved recently. But yeah, he's so inconsistent, and he's just not that star driver. And he demands such a big salary because of his experience. I just don't see it make any sense. I feel they get a young whippersnapper that might be the next big thing, and real push on. Because I honestly think Magnussen and Grosjean are your run-of-the-mill drivers. I think they're good drivers, but they're nothing special.
There's no like diamond geezer there.
Exactly, and I feel like a young talent that could really shine in the same vein as Verstappen or Ocon or Leclerc would do really well in that car and maybe get even more out of it than they're getting at the moment. So, but it may well be both. We'll see. On to McLaren then. An all-new lineup for 2018. I guess we must talk first of the retirement of Fernando Alonso. It's about time, isn't it?
No,
No?
it's not about time. He didn't have his big shot at the big time.
Apart from the 2 World Championships and the 2 that went down to the final race.
No!
He's had such a poor career, hasn't he, Fernando Alonso?
Oh, it's such a shame. I really like Fernando, and I just feel in his later years he was scorned because of circumstance and I don't know. No one could afford him, and no one wanted to work with him, but he was so fucking good. But everyone in the paddock knew how hard he was to work with, and knew that he had such a high fucking price.
Well, that's my problem with it. He's such a great driver in his early years, up until maybe the last 3 or 4 years. He's been in the best sort of mood and point of his career in terms of how he's seen. The first 8 or 9, he was seen as an absolute arsehole. And especially after he won his 2 championships, those sort of 3 or 4 years afterwards, he was a right prick. But I'm with you. I've softened to him the last few years, but at the same time, I feel he's holding on for a drive that will never come.
I will not be surprised if he does his IndyCar thing and he comes back, does a Michael Schumacher, and gets in a fucking amazing car for 2021. I will not be surprised if he comes back.
I just don't see anybody that would take him. That's the thing. If he does, I can definitely see him trying to do a comeback, but I just think he'll get offered the same mediocre drive that he's had the last couple of years.
We'll see.
But you never know. You never know. He might get lucky for once in his career and pick a team at random that's offered him a drive, and they'll turn out to be the best team. That's the question mark, isn't it? I guess 2021. You don't know what's going to happen in terms of the cars, so could be an opportunity for him. You're right, but yeah, they often say once you're out of F1, you're out. Not many come back nowadays or allowed back in. So we go on to the two replacements. Obviously, Stoffel Van Dorn, it was announced one day before Lando Norris was introduced as the second driver, that both of those would be making way. So Carlos Sainz was the first to be announced. I guess he was kind of forced into it. Hulkenberg, I think, had already signed, and Ricciardo, obviously making that shot move to Renault, left him nowhere to go. It's nowhere that anybody particularly wants to be apart from a new driver, but I think it's probably the best option he had. Sainz.
I guess it's bit of a pickle, isn't it? The whole Sainz thing.
We've sort of been forced out because of Max Verstappen, and then the one time you think he'd get his chance when Ricciardo goes, he doesn't.
It's really weird.
That's what confused me a little bit.
Do you think did Max veto it then?
Maybe, because Sainz, I think, actually came so incredibly close to him in the 2 years, maybe even beating him one or two of the years that they were teammates at Toro Rosso. So maybe, I mean, Verstappen, he's the big money guy. He's already signed up, so there is potential that that he had a say in it. Yeah, that's true. Hadn't considered that. It can be interesting. Sainz still got time on his hands, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And he's there for the project now, along with the youngster Lando Norris. So we'll see how he gets on. And it'd be a shame if he was to, stay around in the midfield for another few years before leaving and never really getting his chance, because he's one of those that deserves it. But he does seem to be falling into this Hulkenberg trap.
The old Hulk trap.
Yeah, he's not got a podium yet either, has he, Sainz? So
nope.
We'll see. I would love to see a return to McLaren though, especially with Britain's youngest hope, Lando Norris. Lando.
And this is the thing I have the most.
Lando Norris.
Biggest problem with
Lando.
Okay. I know you like Lando. Don't get me wrong. Like he's quite cool and all that, but I still think Van Dorn should have been given a little bit more of a chance.
Than 3 years?
Was he that shit?
Or was the car
or was
that
Fernando
shit?
just really good?
And the car was shit. Yeah, I mean,
I said it a while ago. I said he won't be driving for the team next year. I think everyone was quite aware that won't be the case. That would be the case.
I think he still had a great chance until Sainz became available.
Yeah.
I think that's what's put the cat among the pigeons for Van Dorn. I think he'd done enough, but they always wanted Lando in that car.
Gap, didn't he? He filled the button gap.
Yeah, I guess, although I still think Button was better.
No, he just filled the gap.
He left some large gaps either side.
Anyway, I feel a bit gutted for Van Dorn, because I feel he could have. If you look at his stats, though, you don't get those kind of stats and be rubbish. He wasn't a bad driver at all. I
think he's a great talent. I'm with you. I just think he was forced into it by Sainz. I think Sainz brings the sponsorship money. He's popular and experienced, and Lando, I think there's just nowhere for him to go.
2010 F4 Euro Cup, first single seater, first position. 2010 he got 5th position, and then he switched mid-season, came 3rd, or did 2 in the same thing, 5th and 3rd. 2012 first. Then another series he was doing at the same time, 9th. 2013, Renault 3.5. He got a 2nd and a 2nd in the GP2. And then Formula 1, he was the test driver. GP2 was 1st. The guy's a serial winner. He's no slouch. Super Formula, fourth. Like, he was always in the top 5, pretty much, and every single thing he did. If not the top 3, majority of his time, I just literally churned out by McLaren. I feel so bad for the guy. He should have been given a drive at different. He should be offered a drive somewhere else.
He still could be. He's not necessarily out on his
should.
arse.
He definitely should. He's not a Palmer. He's not a one-shot wonder. He's
Well, Palmer had the similar record, and he just cracks. I think that's the opinion of Van Dorn by McLaren and a few people in the paddock, and I kind of share a bit of it. That he just couldn't stand up to being alongside Alonso, and especially the last sort of 7 or 8 races, he's been terrible. But I agree, he's a good talent. He's proved his ability, and he should be given another chance. But this happens to these young drivers. They come in. Palmer's exactly the same. Came into Formula One, but Van Dorn was similar again to Palmer. They came in a few years too late. They were always waiting around for their seat. The ones that really hit the ground running at the moment are the Gaslys, Verstappens, Leclercs, Norrises that come in at their first opportunity. They don't wait. They're straight in and hitting the ground. Van Dorn had the same as Palmer. They had to sit around for 2 years, not racing in Formula 2 while they were a reserve driver. And it hurts them. It does. But I agree with you. I think he should get a shot somewhere else. Do I think he will? I don't think he will.
No, I don't think he will either.
But
apparently his manager's come out and said that there are other options, and he's hopeful that he will still get another drive.
I mean, there's plenty of seats left.
I know. But have you also heard on the rumour mill who's going for the Toro Rosso seat?
I'm sure we'll get to that in the Toro Rosso section.
Okay, so sorry, we'll carry on to that bit in a minute. I think that's McLaren done, isn't it?
I've heard a rumour that literally anybody they'll take at Toro
Rosso. They will take anyone, literally anybody. Anyway, so Lando the dream, the hopeful, the Lewis replacement. Norris.
No, the Button replacement. I don't want another Hamilton. I love Lando. I think he looks far too young to be driving a Formula One car.
He's so feisty though, and he's very mature. Even Nando turned around and said that when he was racing with him in the not the single seaters, the closed cockpit, endurance stuff, that he was
Daytona.
very, very good. Yes.
Oh, he was quicker than
Nando.
His quickest lap was quicker, and one of his stints in the night was quicker than anybody else. Like in the team and in that class, he was just superb. He is a massive talent. He's the right size, which helps nowadays.
Yeah.
He's a lot lighter, which means they've got much more ballast to play with in the car. He's a natural talent, and I think he's a really nice, grounded guy. So I'm really excited, and I'm just glad we got another Brit back into Formula One, and we've got a British hope in what a lot of people are calling the Verstappen era to come. And I cannot wait if we get the likes of Russell in as well, to have the likes of Leclerc, Verstappen, Norris, and Russell and Gasly all up the front fighting there. I think it could be an incredible golden era, but we don't know in Formula One how he's going to do and how that McLaren car is, but I'm excited anyway. I think it's a good choice, and it's, as you say, it's just a shame that Van Dorn's had to go by the wayside. I think it's the right move for McLaren to get Sainz. I do. I think they need that one sort of shining driver.
Sainz is a very good driver, and he'll do them very good. So yeah, I get what they did it, but it's still gutting, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Right, Force India, or as they will be known next year, we've no idea.
Racing Point, make up a name quickly because you have to. Force India over a cup of coffee.
Well, they're going to be called something completely different next year. I know that.
Are they?
I think so. I think Racing Point, as far as I know, was just a filler.
Stroll across the line.
100. Great name. Obviously Stroll, I think, is the almost nailed on favourite for one of those seats. I don't know why. There's some reason I'm forgetting, but I can't remember.
I'm not too sure why.
No, I just...
Why. We haven't covered this yet, have we? Have we covered this?
No, not really. So Force
India... But people know. Who are you kidding? People already know.
They do, but I just want to say I think it's good. It's good for the future of Force India.
It is. They must have a lot of money.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a multi-billionaire, Lawrence Stroll, and he's part of a consortium. It's not just him. It's a bunch of
Yeah,
other
it
Canadian
is.
businessmen.
Yeah, it is.
Well, no, it's a lot of other very, very rich Canadian businessmen.
Couple of Canadians all chilling round the fire, eh?
What was that?
All chilling round the fire, eh?
Oh dear.
That's what they do, isn't it?
I thought, was that an accent?
Oh dear, eh? We chill round the fire, eh?
What is that?
We Canadian, eh?
Canadian mixed with Jamaican.
Yeah, we chill round the fire, eh?
Yeah, there you
With
go.
your beer can, all up in the lip.
Much better.
Okay.
So the only question is his partner. I think the favourite is Perez, but I think because of the uncertainty with that team, we still don't know.
No.
Ocon or Perez is the most likely.
Well, I think it'll be Perez because he gets on well with the team. It will squeeze
What,
out
after
Ocon.
putting them into administration?
Yeah, but that's what the owners didn't want the we covered this before, didn't
Yeah.
we?
Well, I think it was in a stream though. I don't think we actually, because we haven't done a podcast because it was
So
announced just
the
before.
word on the street was that VJ and his team decided to not pay a lot of people. So something happened along the lines of he didn't have to pay his creditors or pay any of his bills, so he goes into administration. They sell the business and he gets the most possible money from it, because if he tried to sell the business where it was, he wouldn't get as much money because he owed a lot of money anyway.
Well, the biggest point was for them not to have any limited any liability.
Exactly.
So that if he gets dragged into anything, the team is then cannot be associated with it. So yeah.
There was some weird, funny thing that he wanted to do financially. Twisted, crazy, Mr. I feel bad because it's the last of the crazy bosses, you know what I mean? It's the last of the nutty bosses. You know, likes of like him.
So Franz Tost can be pretty crazy at times.
I know, but
No, I know what you mean.
he's not like the Playboy F1 owner. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I know
He's
what you mean.
he's the last of them, unfortunately. Now that it's all privateered style, I don't think Lawrence Stroll comes under the bracket of crazy Playboy boss like
don't know,
like VJ
you know.
did. Well, we'll see. But
Stroll. I mean, he does kind of look like a Polish mafia boss.
does he?
A little bit in some of the pictures. But no, I don't think he's going to be anywhere near Malia. But
Good old VJ.
yeah, I know what you mean. It's changing regard. That team have done so incredibly well. This will be the first season, I presume, unless they pull off a miracle. Every single year since the beginning of their reign in 2008, they have improved or equalled in the championship. They've never ever gone backwards, which is some achievement for their budget. It really is, especially through two rule changes as well. They've always managed to equal or go up in the rankings, so that's a good sign. They've got money. It's going to be the same team there, so it should be good. I'm going to go with, I think, Perez as well.
Lawrence and Perez.
Yeah, be strong Perez.
Lance and Perez, sorry.
You think Lawrence
Papa Lawrence is gonna
Stroll
do
will
it.
make a late challenge?
But where does Ocon go? Where does Ocon go?
Excuse me. Well, that's the big question, and that's I've heard that Toto is fighting tooth and nail to keep him in at Force India. That might be his only saving grace. There's still a chance that Mercedes will do some kind of deal to keep Ocon there.
Yeah,
because he's definitely one of the ones in line.
he's
Bottas's seat.
Bottas's seat. Yeah,
It'll be a huge shame if Ocon has to go backwards because he's been massively impressive. If not,
I love Ocon. He's my driver of the year last year.
he was indeed, and it's strange. He never said thank you or
I know.
that
Not like
that trophy.
all of the hate mail I've been receiving from Marcus Ericsson in the past couple of months has just been piling up. But the praise that I gave Ocon is.
I really want to go to a race now, just so if I can find Ericsson, play him a clip, and then get a personalised message back. I really want that now. If anyone goes to Grand Prix in the next 2 years,
and they're able to meet Marcus Ericsson.
please get a video
Tell him
response.
very shit.
I think he's not too bad for the records. He's not truly shit.
Just a little bit poo.
A little bit shit. Yep. Okay. So I think we're both in agreement there. There's an outside chance of Ocon staying there, but Perez and Stroll. Toro Rosso. I reckon Jean Alesi and Nigel Mansell. Literally anybody. They are struggling so badly. They're in a bit of a green period.
It's so stupid though. Like, what happened to the famed driver, the young driver program?
The conveyor belt's gone too quickly.
It's gone far too quickly. They've screwed themselves over.
Like, they've got two real youngsters in the main team. Two of their big young drivers, big young stars of the last few years, Ricciardo and Sainz, have now moved off to pastures new. So they're left with Hartley with an outside chance. Kvyat's being touted. Ocon, it's a potential, but it makes no sense for Mercedes or Toro Rosso. Although it is a great driver for Toro Rosso, I guess. And who else? I mean, where is their young driver program at the moment? They must have like a main page or something. Young driver pro. Do you know who it could be?
No, it's not gonna be him. Don't get my hopes up. It's not gonna be Jake.
It could be Jake fucking Dennis, mate.
Can you imagine Jake Dennis gets the call up? Well, I've heard it's Danny Kvyat is rumoured. But will he take it?
For fuck's sake.
Will he take it, Danny Kvyat?
I mean, he'll take anything at this point, isn't he? He's just been waiting. Right, young drivers. We've got Dan Ticktum, the Brit. 18-year-old Briton has added the last 5 races of the GP3 year to his 2017. He now steps into the European F3. He's just 18 years old. Neil Vertangen, the American 16-year-old. I think we can count him out. And it goes downhill from there. 14, 14, 13, 13. The oldest they've got is Dan Ticktum, who's doing his first season of the European Formula 3. So he's out of the question.
Nowhere near.
No, I mean, how's he doing? It's an outside shot, I guess. Whatever happened to Alex Lynn? He was the one that was supposed to be...
You were the chosen one!
Next in line. Alex Lynn. He's 24. He's in Formula E at the moment. GP3 in 2014, GP2 in 2015, and then went to Formula E. So I don't
he must have got caught up in the whole Verstappen, Gasly, Kvyat, Ricciardo era, where Red Bull didn't want to take on or promote any other drivers.
Yeah,
they promoted loads of people and they forgot him. They forgot about Lynn.
They did forget about Lynn. You're perfectly right. So Dan Ticktum is their only choice, and I just don't think he's going to be ready. Formula 3 2018. He's leading the Formula 3 Championship. 4 wins, 5 poles. But is it a bit early?
Yes, it is.
Have we actually? Before we go to rumours, let's nail in our picks.
Okay, what for Toro Rosso?
Yeah.
Well, we'll just do it. We haven't done them together, have we? Because I haven't said some. Well, I think it'll be. God, who's racing there now? Hartley. I think he'll somehow keep his role there. He doesn't deserve to, but they've got no choice. And it will be Danny Kvyat.
Hartley and Kvyat.
What a lineup!
I mean, I'm struggling to get past that.
That's what it would be. Or, if worst comes to worst, it will be Ocon and Kvyat.
I can't see Ocon going there.
I can't. Neither can I. It'll be one of the two, though, won't it?
We got any Japanese young drivers?
We got any Japs?
Formula 2. Actually, no. We said before we look.
Yeah.
Danny Kvyat and
I know.
Jamie Alguersuari.
What?
Well, Vern is another choice, but he's already ruled it out.
No, he
So-
won't. He's too far into his Formula E
We
journey.
must have somebody.
There is nobody. Not even Jake Dennis will answer the call.
Jake fucking Dennis.
Please, please, please. I want yours to be Danny Kvyat and Jake Dennis.
Okay, Danny Kvyat. Jake fucking Dennis.
Jake fucking Dennis. Can you imagine how fun it would be for the podcast if Jake Dennis answers the call? Out
Oh,
of nowhere.
man.
Is he British? Is he English?
I presume so.
Jake Dennis. Oh, the
Right.
memes.
That's mine locked in, so I'm going to do a quick...
Jake Dennis.
Yeah, Jake Dennis and Danny Kvyat. Jake Dennis and Danny Kvyat.
Locked.
Locked in. I mean, why has he been testing for... He must be somewhere in the options.
They're lining him up. They're lining him up. Dennis is in the scopes.
Okay. Let's go. Let's have a deep dive into the internet quickly before we move on then.
No, let's move on. We'll come back.
No, I've locked in, but
Oh, okay.
Giovinazzi is apparently another option.
Hmm.
Kvyat, obviously. Norris was being talked about, but obviously he's now out of it. Yeah, Dan Tixham is being talked about. It's possible. They really, really are fucked, aren't they? I mean, someone who I think is going to be locked in somewhere else on this list is a possibility as well. But we'll get to him. Right. Next, 2 teams to go. I've lost my list. I've suddenly forgotten how to name Formula 1 drivers. Sauber. Presuming Leclerc goes to Ferrari,
Yeah.
I think... I've already used Giovinazzi. Can I use him twice?
No.
Nope. Jake fucking Dennis.
No! It will be Ericsson and Giovinazzi.
Okay, I think you maybe beat me to it there.
Yeah.
I think you might beat me to... I'm running out of drivers. I'm going to have to make a ridiculous thing here. Ericsson I'll lock in.
Yeah.
Alongside him, Stoffel Van Dorn.
Wow, that's a good prediction.
I think he's possible. I mean, I think it will be Ericsson and Giovinazzi, but
But you can't do that.
I didn't
because-
think out for Roman Grosjean, Fernando Alonso, Kimi Raikkonen.
I've heard that is also on the cards.
Raikkonen Ericsson. Locked in.
Okay.
Bam. I'll put my house on it.
Okay.
And you were Ericsson and
Giovinazzi.
Giovinazzi. Okay.
Yeah.
Williams. The big Willie.
The big Willie.
I'm going to go straight in here. Bam, 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 bam. I reckon it will be Kubica and
Yep.
Sorokin.
Same, 100%. That's mine. I'm so happy.
I mean, I still think we're going to be disappointed.
Why?
I reckon we'll see Ocon in that car.
Do you think?
Or the other outside. Oh. I've already locked, haven't I?
No, you can
Already
unlock.
locked.
You
Okay.
can, this isn't Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, mate.
Sorokin and Russell.
Sorokin and Russell.
Yeah, I reckon. There's a lot of talk about coming from Russell that he's in talks with people. And that's the only realistic drive I can see. And I think Mercedes want to get him on the ladder at the same time as Norris.
I'm on the ladder.
So I'm going to go. I want it to be Kubica and Russell, but I think it'll be Sorokin. I think it's because of the money, he's done an okay job. And it's going to be another building year, isn't it? So I'm going to go Russell and Sorokin.
Who did I say?
You can change if you
Who
want.
did I say?
You said Kubica and Sorokin.
Kubica and Ocon.
Kubica and Ocon. Again, good call. But we just don't know.
I think they'll get rid of... Sorokin's done shit.
He has, to be fair, but he brings a lot of money. And
a lot of money.
They're losing
is
the
brought by
Stroll
him.
money next year.
They are. They got to think about that money, and you know Williams is all about that cash.
All about that cash. About that cash.
They are all about that cash.
About that cash.
So that's it. That's our predictions.
That is our predictions. I'm sure Fox can top them up and give us a table when
Yeah,
they're all decided.
Sure I probably missed some, but there you go.
So we have 10, still 11 seats up for grabs. So it's out of 11 potentially. So we'll see how we get on with that, and I'm sure some of them will go right down to the wire in Abu Dhabi, but we'll have to wait and see. Right, I think because of the double podcast, because of that, I think we'll do Challenge Raged next time.
Yeah,
at Singapore. Has there been any other little bits of news since? When did Boulier go?
No idea. I didn't miss him, to be fair.
Was that during the break? I can't remember. He's gone. And some people have replaced him.
Ferrari have got their new guy after the passing of the guy, I can't say his name, Macchioni?
Sergio Marchionni.
Yeah, so Ferrari have got the new guy in, who I've seen his head pop up a few times before, so I think he was a likely choice.
Yeah, I mean they always.
I can't remember his name. I can't remember his name, but
Mr. Ferrari.
Is his name Ferrari?
No.
Oh.
There is a Ferrari guy back about the place. There was someone in Monza that had the surname Ferrari. I presume he's related. I guess. Pretty big coincidence, isn't it? Your name's Ferrari. You're hired.
Hired.
Yeah, I don't think much else happened. Oh, there is one thing. Yeah. This whole big story about Red Bull apparently offering Alonso multiple seats this year.
Red Bull, yeah, no, that's what we were talking about earlier. They apparently.
Well, no, we didn't actually talk about it.
Did we not?
No.
Well, they offered him a seat like at the beginning of the season. And there was lots of different dates, wasn't it?
They've done it 3 times apparently this year, and they apparently offered him in 2008 and 2010, but 3 times this year. And Christian Horner came out and said that's an absolute lie, and then he apparently apologised, which kind of suggests it's true.
Fernando turned around and said, "That's not on. I want you to apologise."
Yeah,
because you're lying to me. Whatever you said there isn't true. Which is fair enough.
I just can't believe he would turn it down. Like,
I don't know. Think about it. He wants his McLaren connections going forward in Indy.
Yeah, but it's a big opportunity, isn't it?
No,
Red Bull.
I think he realised that his F1 days were numbered.
You were just saying how such a shame it is, and he can still go on and.
He should have, he made the wrong decisions along his career. Unfortunately, that's...
Is this another one?
Possibly.
To win a few more races, get back in love with the sport, big rule change, bam. Back with Honda. Actually, that's probably the reason why, actually, wasn't it? That's why I didn't.
Who is your engine supplier? Honda. Yeah, fuck you, I'm going.
I said no early in the year because I still had hope for McLaren, but you'll bring Honda into it? Fuck you.
Fuck you! How dare you? No, he stayed close because of what he's been offered at Indy and his connections through McLaren to get where he needs to be. He's already had tests in the IndyCar. I've heard on the grapevine.
Oh, but he's 100% going to be in IndyCar next year.
Yeah, he'll be in Indy next year.
No doubt about it. He'll be with Andretti. Yeah.
Yeah, be an Andretti, maybe even an Andretti McLaren combo. But yeah, no, it'll be amazing.
McLaren have said they want to come back as a full entry, which would be an Andretti with a McLaren entry. Well, they did say they want to do their own car, but
so they might use Andretti as a bit like a Ferrari stepping stone.
Well, like, actually, thinking about Indy, they're Delora chassis, so just with different engines in it. So they're all pretty much the same. So McLaren can do that very easily, really.
We'll see.
We will,
and that'll definitely be a win. He will definitely get it. And like you say, he's going for the triple crown as well as the triple championship crown.
Yeah, I mean, I could see him winning the triple championship crown, although he's struggling maybe a little bit in the endurance because of the disqualification last time out.
He's 8th, isn't he?
What, in the championship?
Yeah.
First
He's 8 points behind.
Oh, 8 points, but he might be 8 points behind. Yeah, he's first or second. 100%. Yeah, is Triple Championship quite likely? Indy 500 next year. I mean, it could take him 1 year to win it. It could take him 12. He could never win it. Indy, you just do not know. It's not a race that you can just turn up and expect to win ever, or even get close to winning. Anything could happen. So, but I think he'll give it a couple of years, and he'll definitely do a full season next year. So yeah, I fully expect to see that announced towards the end of the year. Right, I think that's time to wrap up quickly before we go. Actually, we've got 2 things to get through quickly. Formula Fantasy F1 game. That's an order of words. Let's have a look, shall we, how we got on after the last 2 races. I haven't looked at this since before Spa, actually. So I have no idea how we're doing.
I have no clue. I haven't even looked at it.
Cream in a Can Cup. Would you like to open up? Thank you. Right. Remaining in the lead and extending their lead a little bit. Pow. Roberto from Romania is just over 100 points clear now of the Papaya Orange team in second. And Fox is now up to third. Closing in on second and putting a little gap between himself and Murek in fourth. Rage is now in seventh. 1,360. You are only 30 points away from fourth, though. So that's nice. All to play for. I am now 8th. 1 place behind you and just 55 points behind you. So let's have a look at our results for Spa and Italy. I got 106 points, in Spa, and 60 in Italy. Until I haven't done a podcast for a while, my voice is shot. You got 138 points in Italy and 48 in Belgium.
Nice.
I think I did look at this after Spa, and I think I'd gone back ahead of you, but you've regained it.
I had Raikkonen and Lewis.
There you go. That'll do it. And then, yeah, filling in those gaps, we've got Armchair Pilot Racing 5th, Yazbrug 6th, and we'll round out the top 10 with Sawyer F. Dava Racing and TKM. TKM's a karter. He's maybe one for the future, actually. Just to let you know.
Is he?
Yes.
I'm gonna change my entry for TKM for the Toro Rosso seat.
I think he's maybe not that. That
You're gonna beat Jake Dennis, are you, TKM?
Jake.
You versus Dennis.
I want to see if this is a rumour now.
Jake Dennis.
2019 F1. Surprise test call up in May to return in Hungary. Big step up. Jake
Look, it's not out of the ordinary. Is he? Where's he racing at the moment?
I mean, he said that his call up was completely out of the blue. He's in like fucking DTM or something, I think. Is it DTM? Where is he at the moment? It's GT Masters. And the Blanc, I never know how to say this, Blanc Pain GT Series, which is getting made into its own game by the people that made Assetto Corsa, actually. That looks insanely good. But maybe Jake Dennis, he's just a bit old.
How old is he?
He's 23. He's not been in a single seater since last year. Fucking ages, mate. He never made it to GP2. Did some races in GP3 and finished 4th and then 17th. So, maybe. Oliver Rowland.
Yeah, that's the name.
Maybe.
That's a shout.
He's Williams' official young driver. So maybe Rowland for Williams. We'll see. We've locked in, so you guys will let us know how we do. And very quick before we end, predictions for Singapore. I'm going to go with... I'm going to go with Verstappen, Vettel, Hamilton.
Raikkonen, Vettel, Hamilton. Really,
no place for a Red Bull?
No.
Okay. I mean, Ricardo I've probably made a boo-boo there, but I've locked it in. Ricardo's been in the top 3 of that race, I think, almost every year for the last 3 or 4 seasons. He's almost guaranteed, but we're locked in. Locked in.
Locked.
And locked out of here.
Clonk, clonk.
Boom, boom. Right. This has been a bit rusty, but what do you expect? We haven't done one for about 5-6 weeks. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I hope you guys continue to enjoy it. I hope you guys have enjoyed the return to content in the channel as well. We're going to keep that going at a steady pace. We're not going to try and go daily. We're just going to keep them coming when they're coming, but we're back up and running. So I hope you guys are enjoying it. You've all continued to watch, which I really appreciate. And yeah, from both of us, I hope you have a good break between now and Singapore, and we'll speak to you very soon.
Alphabet spaghetti tastes like cheese.